two sides to every coin. In the case of The Last of Us Part 2, those sides are Ellie and Abby, revenge and empathy. But what happens when one side begins to overtake the other? What if it becomes so powerful and so violent that it overshadows one's ability to feel anything else? This is the nature of revenge, an emotion that festers like a disease attacking both the body and mind. And once revenge latches onto someone, it won't stop until it gets what it's owed. However, the price of revenge is costly, and it always wants more than you're willing to give. But if you manage to flip that coin, on the other side, you'll find empathy. And unlike revenge, empathy gives you the power to put yourself in another's shoes, to experience the world through their perspective, strengthening your capacity to love, to understand, to find meaning in the meaningless. It gives you purpose, and that purpose can save you from yourself. The Last of Us Part 2 uses both revenge and empathy to craft one of the most emotionally taxing stories in all of gaming. It explores what happens when these two forces collide to create the perfect storm of raw emotion. This is the tragic duality of Ellie and Abby, two sides of the same coin.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. Everything I have found here, I'm not.
The words sung by Joel in the very beginning of The Last of Us Part 2 are integral to the entire plot of the game. These aren't just lyrics sung alongside chords, they serve as a warning of what's to come. They foreshadow Ellie's journey, a descent into unhealthy obsession and hate. All of her sadness and rage is sparked by one event: Joel's murder.
Get up!
And when Abby enacts her vengeance, she unknowingly transfers all of the pain she once felt onto Ellie, thus continuing the cycle. This is the moment Part 2 truly begins. Joel's death leaves a gaping hole in Ellie's heart, a void that can't be filled by simply burying the dead and moving on. She needs to hunt. She needs to make everyone in that basement pay for what they've done. And that's exactly what she does. The path leading to Seattle is deceivingly peaceful. Nature slowly wrapping itself around looming high-rises and abandoned military checkpoints. The calm before the storm. Before long, she encounters a series of gates serving as physical blockades, attempting to stop her from fully crossing over and embracing her darkness. Though she has the chance to turn back, she doesn't. Everything that happens on the other side of those walls is her choice. What kickstarts Ellie's descent into the darkness of her own grief and obsession is the murder of Jordan. The actual act of violence is insignificant to Ellie. She is unbothered and seemingly unchanged by taking his life. But what makes Jordan's death so impactful is that it's the first, and all she can think about is the second.
Come on, look at that later. Was there a TV station on that map? I don't fucking know. Come on. Fuck, Ellie.
She sees the lives of Abby's team as a checklist, removing their humanity entirely. Here, by not caring and viewing Jordan as nothing more than a body to drop, she plants the seeds for her own loss of humanity. The second event is surprisingly the knowledge of a new life.
I think I'm pregnant. What?
Dina is pregnant. The irony is rich. Ellie once again reacts blindly. She grows annoyed with Dina, seeing the possibility of Dina's child as an inconvenience, barring her from her final goal, Abby. Of course, she goes back the next day and apologizes for how she reacted, but in that initial moment, the darkness began to incubate. Day 2 is Ellie's point of no return. Nora's death is violent, gruesome, and without mercy. The moment of the chase, the tackle, the torture. Ellie loses her footing. The revenge takes hold. In this moment, she's not the symbol of hope she or anyone thought her to be. This is the moment when Ellie becomes a version of herself that no one could forgive. She herself is scared of what she's becoming.
I made her talk.
The storm has finally arrived. The sky is dark, and the winds relentless. This storm had been brewing for quite some time. And as the waves crash against the shoreline, we get this uneasy feeling that the storm within Ellie has only begun to intensify. The howling of the wind, the roar of the rain, all are merely an echo of the inner turmoil within her. In the eye of the storm, Ellie finds herself standing at a crossroad. Does she help Jesse find Tommy and get Dina back to Jackson? Or does she walk the path of self-destruction, one that would lead her directly to where the storm precipitated, Abby herself? Blinded by obsession, she chooses the latter, a choice that would change the lives of everyone involved. As she fights against the elements to get to Abby, her eyes go white, like a shark hunting its prey. Nothing is getting in her way. The moment she enters the aquarium, she kills a guard dog, unwavering and unthinking. Then comes Owen and Mel.
Where's Abby?
You're that girl from Jackson.
Tell me where she went.
What was supposed to be an interrogation turns into a struggle.
Fucking Christ!
One that is violent and heavy. Only after does Ellie learn that Mel was pregnant.
Tell me where Abby is. Where the fuck is she?
She's just killed a pregnant woman. It shakes her, and as the player, we understand why. What if it was Dina? Shavings of an outside perspective fall onto Ellie. It's momentary, but perhaps she begins to see the cycle as it turns. But day 3 doesn't end here. No, it ends with Jesse.
Shit.
Jesse, who dies unceremoniously and unbefitting of his importance. It's swift and painless, but still bloody and horrific. And a death that ultimately falls on Ellie. She has no time to even think about the injustice of his death, because there, with her gun to Tommy's head, is Abby.
I know why you killed Joel. He did what he did to save me. There is no cure because of me. I am the one that you want. Just let him go. You killed my friends. We let you both live. And you wasted it.
And just like that, the game performs an analepsis, taking us all the way back to day 1. Up until now, we have been conditioned to see Abby as the villain, one that is brutal and savage, the haunting figure in Ellie's story. By traditional standards, we are not meant to understand the reasonings behind her savagery. We are supposed to hate her, But Last of Us Part 2 is not that traditional story. No, it takes a bold leap by putting us in Abby's shoes. We are forced to see the world through her eyes. At first, it feels uncomfortable. After all, this is the woman who killed Joel. How can we bear to play as her? How can we sit idly by as we walk around and call everyone who is complicit in his death our friend? That's the point. It's all about perspective. Now, a new perspective doesn't absolve Abby of what she has done, but it can help us to understand why. Her father was the doctor in charge of Ellie's operation, the man Joel killed without remorse in order to save her. In his attempt to preserve his own world, Abby's was torn asunder.
Abby.
No!
Abby, don't look.
Dad! Dad!
While walking through the WLF stadium, we get a glimpse of what life is like on the other side of the coin. We see that everyone here means something to someone, whether it be a brother, a daughter, a friend, or a lover. They are people just like the ones in Jackson, simply trying to survive in a broken world. We even pet the very dog that Ellie kills without hesitation.
Girl,
The only one that'll put up with your shit.
don't be jealous.
Hey,
We learn that her name is Alice. Yes, she has a name. She's not the meaningless creature that Ellie treats her as. Here, she is a valued part of the community, depended on for safety and support. Abby's world is much different and yet very similar to Ellie's, and that's what drives the dichotomy of the two characters. The coin flips. As opposed to Ellie's descent into the void of her own heart, Abby's ascent reaches for the light in the darkness, and from it, empathy is born. Abby's path to redemption begins as we are thrown into the heart of a war between the wolves and the Scars, who are later referred to as the Seraphites. At this point in the story, Abby is still very much ingrained in this conflict. She's a soldier who's loyal to her people and has a reputation to uphold. But everything begins to unravel when Abby learns that her ex-boyfriend Owen has gone AWOL. We learn that he shot a wolf in order to save a dying Scar. He put everything on the line in order to let his enemy die in peace. Upon learning of his betrayal, something inside Abby begins to develop. The shape of it is unknown at this point, but it's something nonetheless. What happened with Owen continues to eat away at her, and it's enough to make her defy orders to leave quickly and search for him. After all, Owen is still someone that Abby loves. Unbeknownst to Abby, this would be the final time she would be able to call any of the wolves family. Soon after leaving, she's captured by the Seraphites. The moments thereafter are cruel and inhumane. She's strung up like a pig and almost gutted. She stares death directly in its eyes. A judgment day has come to punish her for her crimes.
They are nested with sin. Free them, that they may know my.
But the hammer instead swings on Yara, a Seraphite apostate. Yara's arm is crushed, drawing attention away from Abby. However, before Yara's other arm can be crushed as well, Lev, Yara's brother, fires off 2 arrows, killing one of the Scars. From there, they form a quick team, working together to escape and flee to safety. The nature of their meeting and the circumstances at hand lead Abby to defend them as if they were her own. This is one of the first shifts in Abby's character. She helps her supposed enemy and embraces them, seeing for the first time a perspective outside of her own. The next shift comes with the ripples of water, the boat scene with Owen. Before this moment, Abby had closed the valves on her emotional and romantic capacities. She was guarded, and too hindered and perhaps blinded by her mission. Yet here, she is none of those things. She allows herself the brief moment to be vulnerable, to allow Owen to love her like she needed. The shape within her stirs, and we now see it as change. Day 2, Abby wakes with a festering guilt. She feels responsible for Lev and Yara, like she has a moral obligation to make sure that they are safe. This overwhelming feeling causes her to leave again. It's a confusing feeling, but it's one that she knows she must oblige for her own sake and for Lev and Yara's. This time, she is not leaving for revenge or to seek out a means to an end. She's doing it for herself, for the sanctity of her humanity. By choosing Lev and Yara, Abby sends herself down a path of self-actualization and the conquering of fears that debilitate her. Mainly, this is her fear of heights. In order to get the medicine Yara needs, Abby must follow Lev across the sky bridge, a path only walked by the Seraphites. While she conquers her extreme fear of heights, she also learns to embrace the lifestyle of the Seraphites, meshing her perceived reality with Lev's. This moment is pinnacle for many reasons. The first is that by melding her world with Lev's, she is once again expanding her perspective outside of her prejudices. The second is that we, the player, feel her anxiety. We don't want her to fall. This feeling proves that we care for Abby to some capacity, even after all she has done to Ellie. Her character's presence in our mind delicately unwinds and reshapes itself. Through her pursuit to understand herself and the things she must do to become a better person, we come to empathize with her, just as we did Ellie. While Abby's exterior begins to crack, so does ours. Empathy begins to take hold. The final and most horrific moment of Day 2, however, is her fight with the Rat King. A disgusting amalgamation of 2 decades worth of rotted corpses piled up, festering with agony and the hurts of their deaths burning in their bones. The trapped souls and their fight is a difficult moment, because we see it for what it is. For Abby, it can be seen as a metaphor for all of the monsters and demons that creep in the depths of her soul and mind. It's the tangible presence of all of her guilts and regrets. And for that, it's more of a showdown between Abby and all of her sins. When the battle is won, Abby is not the Abby we knew and saw through Ellie. She is something new entirely. Day 3 is a reminder of the cycle, that it turns on and on. And even though you may be new and emboldened by a better purpose, you still belong to the devils who made you, and it is the devil who comes for Abby. The day begins to unfold as Lev flees to Seraphite Island in hopes of finding their mother. Naturally, Abby and Yara attempt to follow him, hoping to stop him before he gets into a fight he can't win. But he took the only boat. This setback, which should be minor, brings about one of the enemies of Abby's past. Tommy finds her. Manny, who has been actively dealing with the looming threat of Tommy's aim, helps Abby push forward, but he ultimately dies in an instant, just like Jesse.
Screw it. Listen.
His blood covers her face. Abby has no time to react. Much like Ellie in the theater, she is thrown off balance, but still needs to push forward because Tommy's hunt has yet to end. When the two of them finally come face to face, a moment of realization hits Abby. Glimpses of the past she has been trying to bury begin to reveal themselves. Her goal is still very much Lev. For him, it has to be. Abby and Yara almost make it, but not before Lev kills their mother in self-defense. However, the island as a whole is now a battlefield. The hour of the wolf has finally arrived. It's quick, as death is in this game, but in the heat of chaos, several things unfold. Yara dies. Abby betrays her people.
Stay back!
Stand down.
And Abby and Lev flee. They make it back to the aquarium, but it's not the safe place they hoped it to be, because there, very much dead, is Alice, Owen, and Mel. Abby was played a fool. She had never broken the cycle, not even so much as stepped out of it. The cycle is a part of her as much as her father's death is, as much as Joel's death is. Because, as I've said, this story is a two-sided coin. Two stories running alongside one another, rolling into chaos and despair. Ellie won't let Abby forget the cycle, won't let her stop being a part of it. All this time where Abby has spent becoming a better person, Ellie has waited, keeping the cycle warm and rotating, waiting for Abby. The eye of the storm falls on Ellie and Abby. They stand before one another stained with sin. It's not peaceful, it's not calm, it's not a moment of relief. No, this is the moment when the coin flips in the air, when both sides face one another, and the coin is no longer a game of heads and tails, but a battle of life and death. Their grief has brought them here, led them down pathways of more hurt and pain. Because the only thing grief wants is more grief. Ellie stands there frozen. This is the moment she has been waiting for all this time. But now that the moment is here, it's daunting. The perfect storm has just made its landfall. The game takes a bold move by keeping us in Abby's perspective. The objective is clear: kill Ellie. But we don't want to. We've played as Ellie. We watched as she suffered and struggled. We don't want to be the one to kill her. That's what makes each punch heavier and more guttural for us as players. But the fight has to happen. There has to be an end. So the fight starts with a struggle. Tommy tries to save Ellie from being killed, and in the chaos, Lev lands a shot in Tommy's leg, and then Abby puts another in his head. We think for sure he's dead, but the moment is enough to give Ellie the chance to escape. What follows is a game of cat and mouse, two forces colliding, two people driven by the same emotion, the same need to satisfy a wrong, to avenge those they've lost. With every punch that Abby lands, there's a part of us that begins to hate her just as we did before. Why are we forced into enacting her vengeance instead of Ellie's? We care about Ellie, and we care about Dina, and so when Abby bashes Dina's face into the wood, even after knowing she's already been shot by Lev, we can't help but let that anger and hatred grow. But Abby doesn't stop. In a sudden moment, Abby has a knife pressed to Dina's throat. Ellie tells her that Dina's pregnant, but the darkness we watched bleed out of Abby is back. It consumes her, and all she can say is,
Good.
The darkness burns, and we think we've lost Abby to it. That surely this is how the story ends, that the villain is just a villain, and that Ellie loses all over again. But Abby has her Dina, her own light in the darkness, Lev. Lev pulls Abby back from the edge, back from the path she couldn't come back from. Abby tells Ellie to never show her face again, a final warning before they both lose more than they can withstand. Ellie and Dina lie bloody on the floor. The image is heavy. and it seems like all is lost. But it is certainly not the end. The wind is calm and quiet as it brushes against the golden grass. Ellie walks with JJ in her arms as the sun lays itself to rest behind the comforting horizon. She dances with Dina and plants kisses on her neck. She is living the life they had both envisioned with one another, and physically, she is home. She is at peace. But deep down, she is still hurting, haunted by Joel and the horrors that manifested themselves in Seattle. She can't get away from the guilt and the nightmares that plague her. No matter how far she runs, no matter how much time passes, everything feels like a dream, an illusion. The gentle breeze begins to pick up. The noise starts to become too much. The darkness is all-consuming. Ellie screams. She sees Joel. She can't help him. She hears his screams, his cries for help. It's all her fault. All of it was her fault.
Ellie? Hey, Ellie. Look at me. It's okay.
There to pull her out of the void is Dina, the lifeline Ellie desperately wants to hold on to. The woman whose light has emanated through the clouds no matter how dark it got. Her voice, gentle enough to soothe, yet sharp enough to cut through the noise within Ellie's head. She pulls her out of the nightmare and back to the present. Ellie is backed away from the edge before she could jump into a cavern she can't climb out of.
Just come inside.
The next day arrives, and so does Tommy, who now walks with a limp and is blind in one eye. He's not here to simply socialize. No, he has a lead.
So I've been putting out feelers for months now. And this new guy heard my story. He told me about a woman that he traded with while he was moving through California. Described her as built like an ox, traveling with a kid with scars across his face. He said they're living along this coast in a beach sailboat right here.
Abby is in Santa Barbara. The moment Ellie hears that name, all of the memories come flooding back. The name reverberates within her mind. All she can see is Abby. All she can hear is her name. All of the trauma rushes towards her like a tidal wave. You can see the emotion bleed from her. The feelings she has been trying to outrun have finally caught up to her. Now, Tommy is still very much consumed by his need for vengeance. He would go himself, but he can't. So when Dina says,
We're done with that, Sarah.
he turns to Ellie as she sits there, frozen. He reminds her of the promise she once made.
Reckon it's easy. Forget about her. You sitting all comfy way out here?
Hey,
I'll make her pay.
Tommy.
That's what you said when we got back to Jackson.
Tommy.
What a joke.
In that moment, everything Ellie has been dreading begins to creep back up. That need and that want to finish it, for Joel's sake and also her own. As Ellie stands there cradling JJ, the thoughts within her head stir. The idea that Abby is still out there is enough to drag Ellie away from the comforting warmth of the farm and the embrace of Dina. Before the sun gets the chance to fully rise, Ellie begins to pack her bags with quiet urgency.
Hey.
Hey.
Man, it's been a while since he slept this long, huh?
He had a day.
Yeah. He's fine. Go back to bed.
talk about it in the morning, okay?
I have to finish it.
Because as time passed, the grief became depression.
You don't owe Tommy anything.
I don't sleep. I don't eat. I'm not like you, Dina.
What?
And throughout the story, and up until this point, Dina is the light in Ellie's life. Her love fights to keep Ellie's true rage at bay. Dina is the tangible presence of Ellie's humanity, keeping her from the brink of collapse. From the very first moments they kissed, their fates were intertwined with one another. Where Ellie goes, Dina follows. But this is one path Dina will not walk.
We've got a family. She doesn't get to be more important than that. No. I'm not gonna do this again.
That's up to you.
Abby and Lev walk through the desolate streets of Santa Barbara, their backs turned to the atrocities that occurred in Seattle. They have been born again anew, with a purpose: locate the Fireflies and fulfill Owen's wish. As they continue, the dry heat radiates from the cracked pavement. The sun hangs low, casting a warm yellow hue on the overgrown neighborhood. The grass has pushed itself through the cracks. Nature has been slowly reclaiming this lost land for years now. It's a ghost town that's only inhabited by the shuffling infected. Amidst the silence, their focus is on one address, 2425 Constance. They find the house empty. No Firefly in sight, until Lev uncovers a secret entrance to an old bunker. And sitting there on a table is a radio. In that moment, the unexpected happens. A voice cuts through the static.
We got a clear signal on you. Where in Santa Barbara you calling from?
2425 Constance. We got a tip about a base, but there's no one here. We're looking for Fireflies.
Emboldened by their newly found hope, Lev and Abby leave the house, only to be attacked by a group known as the Rattlers. The fight is inhumane and unnecessary. This attack was not a means of survival. It was purely for amusement and a show of power, because now they are in Rattlers' territory. There are more snakes in the water than just the Rattlers. There's something else that stalks Abby. Someone else. With nothing to lose and only death to gain. Ellie drifts ashore. We're capsized by her perspective, brought back into it like a shockwave. We watch as she tracks Abby like a deer for the slaughter. This hunt is different than before. There is a hunger in Ellie, one that can only be satisfied by corpses at her feet. The Rattlers are an unexpected surprise and an even more grating inconvenience. Ellie is captured, strung up, and stabbed. The Rattlers only serve as a setback, another roadblock in a history full of roadblocks. But Ellie is smart, maybe too smart for her own good.
Fuck you say?
Oh, bitch.
Oh, you like funny, huh? Get up.
Come on.
Get up.
We don't need
No,
this.
man, she's fucked up anyway, man. Come on. Yeah, it's funny, right? It's funny.
Serious?
Come on.
So she forces herself into the clicker, taking a bite to the hand that gives her just enough time to shoot one of the captors and interrogate him. Naturally, the bite isn't lethal. There is no end to the things that only exist to annoy her, like the compound of which she storms. Releasing prisoners and questioning anyone she can find. This is how she figures out that Abby and Lev are being held in the pillars, a beachside torture scene. As Ellie walks through the halls, she repeats the one name that has been on her mind since the very beginning: Abby. When Ellie finds her, she's not the monster that took Joel from her. She's not the woman who haunted her dreams. She's broken and barely recognizable. Death has finally come to claim her. But the vengeance burning within Ellie doesn't care how frail she is. She has to be the one to do it. Not the infected. Not the rattlers. Not starvation. It has to be her. So she cuts Abby down, and instead of fighting, Abby frees Lev. Abby, unlike Ellie, was entirely changed from the events of the story. Her purpose in life is no longer revenge or even death, it's life. Lev is the reason she keeps going. And ironically, revenge saved Abby. If Ellie hadn't come, she surely would have died on that pillar. But Ellie didn't come here to save them. She is still very much entrenched within the cycle. But as she follows them down to the beach, she can hardly walk. The pain from her wound is unbearable, but it isn't enough to stop her. For a moment, we think that there is a possibility they both leave unscathed, that they both walk away empowered by the insurmountable presence of their own grief. But we all know that can't be the case, and so does Ellie. The image of Joel lying dead on the ground, the same image that has been with her since his death, plays like a film behind her eyes. She can't shake him off. She can't climb over the mountain that is his love for her, or was his love for her, the love she no longer has. And now she is finally within arm's reach of his killer. She's right there. No Dina to distract her, nothing to tell her to stop, to go home. But Abby pays no attention to Ellie. She just wants to live. She doesn't want to fight. She's tired of fighting. She wants to go home, wherever that may be. But Ellie doesn't have a home anymore. She left hers, left her people just for this. So, Ellie forces Abby's hand.
I'm not gonna fight you. Yes, you will. He's not a part of this.
You made him a part of this.
Okay.
And this is enough for Abby to get on her feet and give her what she wants: blood. All of the pain and suffering endured by both of them has led to this moment. Two sides plagued with the curse of humanity. One that encourages violence and vengeance just to breed grief and despair. But they, Ellie and Abby, are also possessed by love and compassion, entranced in it. I mean, that is why they're here. The cycle is just the loss of love. With each slash of Ellie's knife and every swing of Abby's fists, we see the worst parts of humanity take over. The fight is as we know it to be, primal and dirty. The only thing to witness the fall of our protagonists is the savagery of nature. The water crashes against their legs as they rip into one another, skin to bone. The salt water mixes with the blood like watercolor, except the image that's painted is not beauty. It's not even angry. It's tragic. But then there comes the moment when Ellie's hands are around Abby's neck, trying to force her under the water. Abby fights back, because even if she doesn't want to, Abby will always fight back. and so she bites hard on Ellie's fingers, ripping them off. But the pain is nothing to Ellie. She's felt pain, dealt it out even. And in that moment, Abby disappears from us. We can't see her anymore, because we're looking only at Ellie, watching as her resolve fractures, shattering in the shape of Joel. The image in her mind, the one we're all familiar with, is different. He's not dead. For the first time, he's not dead. No, he's sitting on the porch, playing his guitar. It's calm. It's peaceful. It's everything Joel was when he wasn't fighting for his or her life. In all the rage of losing him, Ellie forgot that. She forgot how quiet Joel was, how gentle he could be, and how he would not have wanted her to go down the path she did. All this time, Ellie was letting Joel's death be the consuming darkness that capsized her morality and sense of self. And in doing so, she ignored the light that Joel was in her life. But in the water, she sees it again. She can't kill Abby. If she does, she tarnishes all the good that Joel brought into her life. She loses herself, and thereby all the parts of her that Joel changed. So in a monumental moment, Ellie's grip begins to loosen, and she lets Abby go. She cries. The emotions she has been trying to hold back all this time finally come out. Abby comes up for air, and Ellie does nothing. There is nothing that Ellie can do. So she tells Abby to take Lev and leave. This isn't a mercy for Abby, but a mercy for herself. Ellie just sits there in the water, dirty, wet, tired, and defeated. Abby and Lev disappear into the fog, and the cycle comes to a stop. A carousel in the dark, no longer useful, no longer important, just a memory. After some time, Ellie returns to the farm. It's the only home she knows, and the only direction she can go now. There is no one else to hunt down, no one else to kill. And as she walks through the doors of the house, there is no one left to welcome her home. The house is desolate now. Dina's left with JJ, leaving the floorboards unwalked and the rooms empty. What memories Ellie has of warmth, of comfort, of forgiveness are mere shadows on the wall. This is the price of the cycle. Ellie understands. The price of revenge. In the pursuit of death, you often lose more than just a life. And Ellie has lost everything. She sits down, guitar in hand, wanting to reassemble a lost feeling. She attempts to play the first song Joel ever played for her, the one that ultimately foreshadowed her journey. The song she hears in her head will never be played again, at least not by her hand. It will reverberate in her mind like wind through an empty tunnel, never being caught, never being heard. In this moment of heartbreak, Ellie falls into her memories. Up to this point, we had assumed that Joel and Ellie's relationship was left scattered and broken by his actions at the hospital. We assumed that he died with the rift between them wide and unforgiving. But the memory she plays in her head tells us something different. She was willing to try and forgive him.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
Ellie's story ends when she places the guitar gently against the windowsill. We see her walk across the field, blurry and out of frame. Our eyes are trained on the guitar, because that's what Ellie's story was entirely about. It was about Joel and Dina, and the fondness she had, and then lost. There's no reason to fight, no reason to run, no reason to do anything but let go. That's what Ellie learns in the aftermath of all the chaos and death. Let the grief go. Let it pass. Let it heal. The Last of Us Part 2 remains as one of my favorite games of all time. To this day, there hasn't been a story that has affected me quite like this one. It's an emotionally draining and depressing game. One that tests your limits and forces you to take on new perspectives and ideas. Now, I know it's a controversial story, but when you open your mind and are willing to empathize with the supposed enemy, the game becomes something new entirely. It's haunting, it's beautiful, it's bleak in the best possible way. It's a tragedy that deserves to be cherished and told for years to come. And that's why I chose to make this video. This is essentially my love letter to The Last of Us Part 2. And I would feel remiss if I didn't give it all the attention it deserves. I could talk all day about the occurrences within the game. Hell, I could make an entirely separate video focusing on something entirely different. The game manages to open up new doors within your mind and your heart. It's simply a matter of whether or not you want to let those feelings in.